Hi everybody, this is Destiny from the Book Clinic, and today we'll be delving into the Netflix movie I Care a Lot. If you haven't seen the movie and are a sucker for punishment, then I recommend watching it before you see this video. With that said, let's dive right in. One lesson I've learned as both a writer and an editor is that just because a story gets acclaim does not make it automatically good. I Care a Lot is the perfect example of this kind of movie. Despite being nominated for a Golden Globe, the film falls flat, and the main reason is that it breaks its promises to the viewer and it shields its protagonist from punishment. One of my biggest pet peeves and a huge storytelling flaw is when a writer bends over backwards to ensure a character never has to face the consequences of their decisions. This is how screenwriter Blakeson treats the protagonist Marla. So to drive home why this is such a big issue, let's talk about karma. I'm a big fan of the writing blog Mythcreants, and they talk about the concept of karma in detail. They say on their blog post, Understanding Character Karma, informally, a person's karma is the destiny they have earned. It means that those who have done good deeds will have a better future awaiting them, and those who have committed wrongs will be punished by fate. You may or may not think that karma exists in real life, but in the land of make-believe, is as certain as gravity. Karma relates to the way the audience feels. It's their intuitive desire for balance. A nice character who's constantly beat down by life, and a mean character who's very successful is almost always sure to frustrate the audience, even though we know this happens all the time in real life. So to use Mythcreants' terminology, there are two elements that affect the character's karma: merit and morality. To quote them, a character who is moral earns good karma, whereas someone who acts immorally gains bad karma. While cultural morals differ, a selfless person looks better to audiences than a selfish one. A character who's clever or determined is favored for good karma. A character who's incompetent will gain bad karma. If you build in consequences to characters' actions, this problem takes care of itself. A character does something good and is rewarded. A character does something bad and is punished for it, wiping the slate clean. Now Marla does get points for merit. She's both clever and determined, but unfortunately, her actions are so completely immoral that even her merit does not balance the karmic scales. Marla is a nearly impossible character to sympathize with, which is a huge problem for the protagonist to have. Without empathy for the protagonist, the viewer really has no stakes in the story. They don't really care what happens because they don't care about the character. Now let's jump into the second reason why the story fails, and that's the fact that it breaks its promises. As author Brandon Sanderson teaches, every story makes promises to its audience, whether it realizes it or not. In the case of movies, those promises are made both in the trailer and in the opening scenes of the film. I Care a Lot makes a lot of promises that it refuses to keep. Both the trailer and the opening scenes prepares us for a straight revenge film. A heartless con artist picks the wrong mark and gets her life blown up when her latest victim's mobster son is determined to get his mother back. I was expecting the movie to end with her exposed and ruined, her business destroyed, the associates that helped her perpetuate the scam dead or disgraced. Now the movie is half dedicated to that premise, with Marla being harried by the mobster played by Peter Dinklage, whose name is Roman. But the screenwriter's desire to let Marla off the hook leads to increasingly ridiculous plot holes or just generally things that break the viewer's suspension of disbelief. Let's list a few of those, shall we? So Roman is the former head of the Russian mafia, but he's unable to get his mother out of an old person's home. Why wouldn't he bribe or blackmail the judge handling her case like they do in every other mafia movie? His henchmen are so incompetent they get shot by the security guard at the old person's home. By the way, the dude that Roman sends had already proven himself to be an idiot to the point where Roman threatened to shoot him. Why would you send him on a mission that was this important? And I know you might say, it's supposed to be a dark comedy, but it's like 99% dark and 1% comedy, and didn't get so much as a chuckle from me. Tonally, it didn't feel like a comedy at all, which made this scene absolutely ridiculous. And a series of scenes so stupid it actually made me angry. Roman kidnaps Marla and tries to get her to release his mother. She refuses. He asks her where the diamonds she stole from him are, and she characteristically refuses to tell that either. But for some unexplained reason, Roman doesn't torture her for the information like every other mob boss on Earth would do. Instead, he tries to arrange her death to look like an accident, even though he could just shoot her in the head, bury her, and be done with it. Despite Marla being drugged and trapped in a car underwater, she magically wakes up, kicks out the windshield, and swims to safety, all while holding her breath for at least 10 minutes. Then she walks all the way to the nearest gas station, changes her clothes, rides a cab back home, and just happens to walk in and carry her girlfriend out of the building seconds before it blows up. How convenient. Then Marla and her girlfriend manage to kidnap Roman, who appears to have absolutely no security despite being a freaking former mob boss. Finally, Roman decides to team up with Marla and scale up her elder abuse business, because that's the natural reaction to someone who ruined your mother's life and kidnapped you. This movie made me bang my head against a wall. Literally. It tries to frame Marla as a superwoman able to survive and conquer in any situation, no matter how bad the odds. It tries to make the audience root for Marla as a hero with her spunk and determination, but it fails on that account miserably. Now, there are ways to make the audience root for evil or selfish characters. Just look at the success of Breaking Bad or The Sopranos, but there are certain rules you have to follow to accomplish that. For one, if you want your audience to love your immoral character, you can't show the harm they cause. You could tell the audience that the character has done bad things and show them acting selfishly, but you can't show the reactions of the people they're hurting. In The Good Place, Eleanor states that her job was also to basically rip off old people, but we never see her victims or the effect that her swindling had on them. This allows Eleanor to be redeemable in the viewer's eyes. On the other hand, one of Marla's victims plays a major role in the story, and the viewer is forced to watch as her life is taken away from her and she's wrongly persecuted by an egomaniacal ogre. Another way is to have the character only harm bad people, or people who the viewer will feel like earned it. In I Care a Lot, Marla makes a living swindling lonely old people. You'll be hard pressed to make an audience root for a character who does something that despicable. If she were cheating finance bros on Wall Street or superficial socialites in California, that would be different. Those people, we secretly feel, deserve to be cheated. But when the protagonist takes advantage of people who are innocent and helpless, well, the screenwriter might as well have had Marla run a puppy mill. The third way is to make the protagonist face the consequences of their actions. We delved into this a lot earlier, so I won't harp on it, but I have to emphasize how important it is not to let your characters off the hook. I would love to incorporate viewer suggestions into my videos, so if you can think of a movie that failed spectacularly, or a movie that did an aspect of storytelling really, really well, let me know in the comments. So even though I hated I Care a Lot with a fiery, burning passion, there's still a lot to learn from it, and I hope it helps you not make the same mistakes in your own story. Remember to like this video and subscribe, and as always, happy writing.
Did you think your novel was ready for publication, only to receive a mountain of rejection letters or bad reviews? Have you poured your heart and soul into your story, but something isn't quite working and you don't know how to fix it? The best thing you can do is have a professional take a critical look at your manuscript. And that's where the Book Clinic comes in. I offer developmental editing, copy editing, and proofreading services, as well as an agent prep package to give you everything you need to start querying. I will not only help you write a compelling and engaging story, but I use my experience as a publishing industry insider to give you the advice you need to make an agent fall in love with your manuscript. If you're interested, check us out at bookclinicnyc.com. Let me bring the best out of your book.